well, it's just a couple minutes behind. I know our public hearing went a couple minutes late. It's 5:33. I'd like to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Welcome everybody to our October Board of Commissioners meeting. I know if you've been here for the last hour or so, it's our third meeting of the night, so we're stacking them on top of each other. As far as opening remarks, looking at events, we do have Serve Pickens this Saturday. Go to servepickens.com if you want to check out details on what's going on. Talking Rock also has their Heritage Days Festival this weekend and have quite a few vendors. Welcome everybody to go and attend that. Jasper First Baptist will actually be celebrating their 175th anniversary during their Sunday service. I know they've asked the city and the county both to come, and we're going to present a proclamation at their service there. So there's quite a bit going on this weekend, as is typical in the fall. If you look at northbound on 515 any Friday afternoon especially, you'll know that there's quite a bit that goes on this time of year. But we'd like to welcome everybody. And any opening remarks from either of you? We'll remind everybody that lives in the city of Jasper or the city of Nelson that municipal voting is currently, the early voting period's already up and going, taking place at the Parks and Rec Community Center. Feel free, if you haven't already, to go by. I know that they've had a low turnout so far, so you have an opportunity to go vote for either of those two municipalities in their election in that as well. So we'll move on into our opening prayer and invocation. I've asked Kirk Anderson if he would lead us in that, and then Mark Harris, would you lead us in the pledge after invocation?
Let's pray. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for letting us all gather together again one more time. Please, Lord, watch over us throughout these proceedings. Please let cool heads prevail. Please, Lord, let us watch over this community that we call home. Please, Lord, watch over all those that serve and protect us, both at home and abroad, in whatever capacity they serve, whether it be our troops, or whether it be our leaders here, or whether it be the ones that, come out and serve as police and protect us here at home. Please, Lord, watch over all of us and let us protect this home that we are proud to serve. In thy heavenly name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I know as we look on to the remainder of the agenda, there are no amendments to the agenda that I'm aware of. Okay, so there's no amendments to the agenda. We'll move on to our consent agenda. On our consent agenda, we have got the Domestic Violence Awareness Month proclamation. That was a proclamation that was signed on October the 6th. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, so that proclamation was then. Red Ribbon Week, which is the hardest term in the world to say while reading a proclamation. That proclamation was signed on the 16th day of October in front of a lot of educators, and I somehow had to work through and read that, but it is to proclaim October 23rd through October 31st as Red Ribbon Week. And if you say it slow, you can pull that off. And so that is to call on people to really promote a drug-free environment, drug-free community. Earlier today was our third proclamation that we've done since our last meeting, and that was for Retired Educators Day. Retired Educators Day is observed in the state of Georgia on November the 5th. Which is on a Sunday, and we have declared, Pickens County has declared that November 5th is Retired Educators Day here in Pickens County as well as the state of Georgia. So those three are all listed on our consent agenda. As I mentioned before, we'll have another one tomorrow that will be a part of our agenda for our next meeting, but that will be the 175th anniversary of the First Baptist Church of Jasper. With no old business, we'll move straight on into new business. Under new business, our first item is our quarterly finance report, which she's probably going to want this clicker to go through and do. I should have sent it over there for you. I'm sorry. Turn the floor over to Ms. Miranda McDowell, our finance director, and let her present third quarter numbers.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. So this is our third quarter fiscal year 2023. All right, so expenditures should not exceed 74.97%. Currently, general fund revenue collections for third quarter total $14,571,352, which is 42.7% of the budgeted revenue. General fund expenditures without the ARPA for the third quarter are $21,895,284, which is 64.07% of the budgeted amounts. Governmental expenditures are currently 10.9% under allowable percentage. All right, so here we go. Countywide revenue, quarter three, fiscal year 2023. We are currently sitting at 14.5 million in revenues after the third quarter. Let's see, special revenue funds, which is E911, $441,201. Proprietary funds, that's the airport as well as the water, that's $3,234,080. That's in our revenue. All right, so general fund revenue, some of the differences you'll see, taxes is at $7,850,580. It's a little bit of a decrease since the third quarter of 2022. Basically, that reflects the tax revenues. Licenses and permits, $486,372. Intergovernmental, $2,140,019. Charges for services, $3,663,593. Fines and forfeitures, $197,731. Interest income, $11,919. Miscellaneous, $202,086. And other finance sources, $11,913. And you'll see over on the far column, the variance explanations. Intergovernmental is significantly lower this year. That's basically the local salary benefit reimbursement and a couple other grants. Ambulance fees were up 38% more last year than they were this year. And then the $257,000 on the miscellaneous. Basically, there was, for the most part, the reimbursement for damaged property, buildings, vehicles, that sort of thing. All right. Other fund revenue. So SPOS E911, $441,201. That's $11,239 more than this time last year. $2,591,988, which is $21,884 more than this time last year. Airport, $800,052. That's $81,508 more. That's basically the land lease. Okay. SPOS 2020 receipts, and we are at 2%, $5,611,200. It's 2% more than last year. Easier for me to see down here. All right, so government-wide expenditures. You'll see that's fiscal year 2022, third quarter. We were at 73.92%, which is 75% of the general expenditures. And now third quarter for fiscal year 2023, we're at 64.07 of 75% for fiscal year 2023. Okay. General governmental expenditures. Commission and general, 1.292,433, which is 28.86%. Elections, 195,708. That's 57%, 57.51%. Okay, sorry. Tax commissioner is at $517,076, 64%. Tax assessors at $575,925, which is 72.88%. General government buildings is $403,113, which is 68.32%. Overall, general government expenditures is $2,984,255, which is 42.59%. All of these expenditures going forward should be 74 74.97% or less. All right, judicial expenditures, $2,657,020, which is 63% of the overall total judicial. I know, I'll get through this. Sorry. Superior Court, $318,966, 48.82% of the overall budget. Clerk of Court, $544,570, which is 72.55%. And District Attorney, $366,913, 56.80%. Magistrate Court is $304,448, which is 58.27%. Probate Court, $373,207, which is 70.23%. Juvenile Court, $254,565, which is 63.44%. Public Defender is $494,351, which is 68.77%. Public Safety. Sheriff's Office is at $6,765,030. That's 66.7% of their overall budget. Probation and drug abuse, $111,432, which is 82.89%. Fire is at $4,287,218, which is 75.9%. Coroners is $47,537, which is 52.04%. Animal shelters at $210,636, which is 59.41%. EMA is at $247,715, which is 167.7%. And that big increase there is due to a grant and grant expenditures. Public safety total, $11,669,567, which is 70.61% of the overall, which is less than the 74.97. Public Works. Public Works roads is at $1,943,251, which is 67.43%. Solid waste and landfill is at $866,382, which is 78.26%. Public education and Pickens Beautiful is at $12,500, which is 100%. Total Public Works is $2,822,134. Percentage of budget is 70%, 70.53%. Health and welfare expenditures. Health Department, $61,627, 74.2%. Health Department regulation, $2,953, which is 164%. Health Department buildings is $553, 20%. Welfare, $6,810, 22.7%. Senior Center is $21,897, which is 90.11%. Transportation, which is MAPS, is $73,833, and that's 52.68%. Overall, $167,673. Percentage of budget is 59.45%. Culture and Recreation. Recreation Center is $494,712, which is 71.14%. Swimming pool, $36,144, which is 87.33%. Program sports, $93,938, 80.47%. Library is $326,099, which is 74.82%. Overall, $955,893, 73.79%. And housing and development is county extension service, $53,062, 58.27%. Planning and development, $336,381, 72.5%. County marshal is $118,930, 58.27%. Economic development is $67,267, which is 100%. Total housing is $573,203, 69.81%. special revenue funds, E91 expenditures, $1,032,714. That's 47.21%, and I have completely left y'all behind. Okay.
I've been doing it.
Oh, you have that, okay.
I realized
I'm just moving right along.
you were zoned, so I started clicking through for you.
Okay, okay, so proprietary funds, water department, $2,001,578, which is 61.99%. Airport is at $666,563, which is 67.75%. And total for enterprise funds is $2,668,141, which is 63.34%. Oh. Oh my gosh. Okay, so for fiscal year 2023, quarter three, the American Rescue Act funds, we've expended, as you can see, we started the year at $408,644 in the 2021 remaining funds. We've expended $27,870. Projects are still ongoing there. Unutilized funds is $380,744. In the 2022, you can see we started at $3,165,210, and we've expended this year currently $2,022,893, with a balance of continuing projects $1,142,316. So that leaves a balance right now currently 1.523 on that. That's all I have.
Could you repeat that?
So I will say, I picked on her before, if you ever want to try to read all those numbers at one time and say percent, it's actually one of the most difficult things in the world to pull up.
So I know one of the things I would like to make mention is these numbers look a little different because they do not include the encumbrances, which is the open purchase orders that we currently have, which is a little bit different from how it was presented last time. So if you see anything that looks a little wonky, that's what it is. Going forward, we're going to try to clean this whole report up, and also we're still working to get the reports available on the website so you can access those on your own. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any questions that you
Any
guys
questions?
The only people forbidden from asking Miranda questions or any sheriff's office people, because it may be back, so.
Oh, I'm not forbidden.
No, she's not. She's overpowered.
Wrong choice of words. All right, so next item on our agenda is under new business is the Appalachian CASA contract. Actually, we need to actually vote to approve the quarterly finance report. So I have a motion to approve the quarterly finance report as it was presented.
Motion to approve. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda, and that's the Appalachian CASA contract. That's court-appointed special advocate program. We serve as the fiscal agent under that program. It is the grant funding that comes in from federal grants. I believe it's a $75,000 grant fund that comes in. State Department of Human Resources matches that as well, but we serve as the fiscal agent, so it's time for the renewal of their contract that expires this year. So we wanted to bring that contract before. I know that a copy was uploaded into your files for you to be able to review. Hopefully, if you don't have any questions, I'll entertain a motion that we approve the contract with Department of Human Services for the state of Georgia on the CASA program.
So moved. Second, all 79 pages.
Yes. Moving to second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. The next item is a request that we received from the city of Jasper. It's Parcel 028051. That's 34.25 acres. The request that has been presented to them from the property owner, 1877 Cove Road LLC. They're the landowners of the property that's currently in the city of Jasper. It's located off of Grandview Road. The property owner is requesting to de-annex their property from the city of Jasper, so we have to vote to re-accept that back in to unincorporated Pickens County. It's scheduled to go before the Jasper Planning Commission on the 24th of October. But they did provide us with that notice, so we can let them know what our stance was. Do I have a motion that we approve the acceptance of this deannexation request?
So moved. Second.
All right, with a move and a second, are there any questions about this or discussion? All right, no questions or discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We'll get that agreement sent back over to Jasper. All right, so the next is to deal with talking about fire station agreements. There's 3 separate items that are listed, and they do need to follow a particular order as we go through those. In point of discussion as we present each one of these items, I know Chief Prather spoke a little bit at the work session so that you can understand the basics. As we started to explore the ISO rating change that had occurred in Talking Rock, we started looking at the different ways we could try to improve that. In doing so, realizing the lack of volunteers or the reduced number of volunteers that have been occurring, one of the first was to be able to get a resolution in place that become a part of Pickens County Fire versus the Talking Rock Volunteer Fire Station. So the first item is a resolution, and then as a result of that resolution, the next 2 are agreements that we would need to have in place with Talking Rock. So they need to follow a sequence as we go through. The first is a resolution establishing a Pickens County Fire Response District in the unincorporated area of North Pickens County, formerly provided by the Talking Rock Volunteer Fire Department Incorporated. I'm going to go through and read each line on this particular resolution. It's whereas the Pickens County Board of Commissioners understands the need for fire and EMS services in all areas of Pickens County. And whereas the Pickens County Board of Commissioners understands the responsibility to provide those services in all areas of unincorporated Pickens County. Where it is known that fire services in Pickens County began several decades ago with community volunteer fire departments, including the Talking Rock Volunteer Fire Department Incorporated. And whereas the demand on all volunteer fire departments over these decades has drastically increased with population growth, training demands, and current regulations. Whereas it is recognized that the Talking Rock Volunteer Fire Department Incorporated was one of the early community fire departments formed to provide fire services to its community. And whereas it is decided that it is time to relieve Talking Rock Volunteer Fire Department Incorporated of the burden and responsibility to maintain operational fire services to unincorporated Pickens County. And whereas it is only appropriate to extend sincere appreciation and honor all those that have and continue to serve as volunteer firefighters in the Talking Rock community. Now therefore be it resolved by the Pickens County Board of Commissioners, and it is hereby so resolved by the authority of the same, that Pickens County shall assume all responsibility to provide fire and EMS services to the unincorporated area of Pickens County formerly identified and provided by the Talking Rock Volunteer Fire Department Incorporated. And said services shall be included in the operations of Pickens County Fire and Rescue under the direction and authority of the Pickens County Fire Chief. That is the resolution that would then put that responsibility of us to provide that fire service. There's a lot that has to go through with the state in order for that to be transferred into our area. Before I call for a vote, I do want to point out the one final whereas that was in the resolution is to extend the appreciation and honor. We want to thank volunteer firemen and firewomen that serve our community have just been amazing. The number of times that we've seen volunteers arrive first on scene and all that y'all done, we can't thank you enough. I know that the communities have changed around us as paid fire service became a real thing, but there's no way we could say thank you enough for all the years of your volunteerism. And I know our fire chief started off as a volunteer fireman, our director of public safety started off as a volunteer fireman, and now our recently obsessed commissioner from the west end of our county, Commissioner Pickens, is a volunteer fireman as well. So we know the level of service and commitment and listening to your pagers 24/7 and jumping into action to respond. And we can't say thank you enough. And I don't want to breeze by that as we go through these different things, because it is kind of the end of an era, but at the same time it's continuing an era because you get to continue to remain volunteers. And I don't want to glaze that in any way, shape, or fashion, that y'all don't recognize the sincere appreciation that we have. With that, I would like to ask for a motion that for an authorization for me as chairman to sign this resolution, and we adopt this resolution in order to assume responsibility for fire service.
So moved.
I'll second the motion.
All right, I have a move and a second. Any questions or discussion?
I just want to also say thank y'all for all y'all done for all these years. It's been great, and I'm glad we're able to start doing this, so.
Mr. Tippins can't, because as a volunteer fireman, he might cry if he tries to speak right now. You'll have to freeze that.
I got no words, but y'all know I appreciate it.
Any other discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you. So with that, the next item on the agenda is a fire station lease agreement. This is something that we are going to entertain from our portion. We'll have to send this over to Talking Rock as well. Currently, the volunteer fire station is housed in Town Hall of Talking Rock. And if we are going to have the fire service be a part of the county, it is a lease agreement that would be sent over to Talking Rock. While we finish the closing on the property and begin construction of a new fire station, there will be a continued period of time that the county would then be the occupant of the fire station. This lease agreement is directly between Pickens County and the Talking Rock Volunteer Fire Department. The agreement is in the terms of $1 per year. Is just a simple agreement that creates kind of the rules and regulations for us to be in there and occupy that as a county station. With that, I would like to entertain a motion to authorize me as chairman to sign this lease agreement and then send it over to Talking Rock for their signature as well.
So moved.
Second.
I have a move in a second. Any discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. The third is, as you read when we went through our resolution at the initial resolution, we referred to constantly the unincorporated Pickens County fire areas that are served by that volunteer fire station. There is also incorporated areas. Talking Rock does have an incorporated boundary. So the third item that we do have on our agenda is an intergovernmental service agreement with Talking Rock for us to be the ones to provide fire service for the incorporated boundaries of Talking Rock. This is just to establish that territory that Pickens County government will be providing that service. There is an IGA in place since this is a new transition and we're in the process of preparing to construct a fire station in that area. It was put in at a $10 annual fee that Talking Rock would pay to the county until we are able to fully establish that we have the fire service in place. It will continue to be served by volunteers at this particular time, but it will broaden the number of volunteers that are able to serve that territory. So with that, I do ask for a motion that we approve the intergovernmental services agreement and authorize me as chairman to sign that with Talking Rock as well.
So moved.
Second.
I have a move and a second. Any discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries. Before we move on to the next part of our agenda, I would like to ask Chief Prather if you would you come up for just a moment? I know he's got something he wanted to mention and discuss.
First off, thank you for giving me just a few minutes here with this. This is nearly a milestone, another milestone in our fire service. I feel like we've slipped a little bit over the years. You know, I grew up here, born and raised here, and started in the fire service, raised in the fire service. You know, back in the day, we didn't have fire service in my early age. And the fire service did start with community fire departments with no support from the county at that time. You know, we were small. And so we were pretty much on our own starting these volunteer fire departments. And it's hard to describe to anybody what it took to get these things off the ground. We have Talking Rock Fire Chief and Assistant Chief over here. They know, compared to Commissioner Pickens over there, he's kind of spoiled of what we came through. Okay, he's coming in seeing new fire trucks and stuff, but these guys here could attest that back in the day, and Curtis Clark back here as well, he was a volunteer back in the days. I was a kid, I'm not much younger than Curtis, but I think I'm younger, but I started under these guys, and where I feel like we're slipping, we've let some of our guys that established this thing pass away without recognition. You know, most recently, Paul Petty. Paul Petty used to come pick me up and take me to rescue meetings. You know, Lloyd Thompson, them two guys right there were the very beginning of any kind of emergency service in this county. They put together the first rescue trucks. The first county fire truck was an old Coca-Cola truck that they deemed was unsafe anymore, that we brought into the county and welded on 1,000-gallon tank, I think it was. You know, we really drove some junk compared to what Commissioner Pickens used to ride in there. But it was a lot of work back in them days. We had a flat tire, we was having fundraisers, yard sales, you name it. We just didn't have the funds. But we got through it. I don't know that anybody's ever lost their life in any of that junk we drove over the years. A lot of commitment, you know, at the very beginning of the fire service. And it's kind of sad for me because I grew up in it, and most all these guys are passing away. So I want to take a moment here to really recognize the Chief Keener and Chief Payne, that over 30 years of service between both of them, 60 years combined, that they were there in the beginning. And I think we need to set precedent. We start recognizing these folks for what they've done to get us to where we're at today. Take a lot of blood, sweat, tears, you name it, to get us to where we're at today. So, and a lot of homes were saved with that junk. And I'm calling it junk because it was junk. Okay? But we did it, pieced together, and started from very little to nothing, and to get us where we're at today. So I want to take a few moments to really express my sincere appreciation to Chief Keener and Chief Payne, present them a plaque for their service. So if they come forward. It makes me feel low too, because I'm in that next group to Denise passed away, I guess. But we got to hang on to our history. We don't want to send it. Practically will read the same, but you know, Fire Chief Larry Keener and Assistant Fire Chief Glenn Payne awarded you for over 30 years of dedicated and loyal service to Talking Rock Volunteer Fire Department, serving the town of Talking Rock and Pickens County, presented on Pickens County Fire Rescue by me on October 2023.
More accurate, 37.
Well, I know y'all said over 30, but you couldn't give me the exact number. So I didn't have that exact number, but
Get Director Elrod to come stand with you in that picture. That way, since he told me no when I motioned to.
Chief, while they're taking pictures, I want to also point out that when I first started in law enforcement, these guys were not only focused on the fire and the wrecks, but they were always there to back us up and help us through the sheriff's office. And through many a nights, you know, there was one or two of us working the road. These guys would come out and help us with traffic or anything we needed, or show up on a bad call and just sit there and wait. So we really appreciate everything that our volunteers have done over the years.
the chiefs have to speak.
Yeah, we started out in that little,
I didn't know you were about to speak, I'm sorry.
we started out in that little, they conned me into wiring the building, because I've been an electrician 50 years. So they conned me into wiring the building. By doing that, they conned me into being a member. So I'm the only one left of the originals. But when we have a grand opening on the new station, I'd like to read all the original people that have been there. It's pretty neat, because most of them's already passed on. It's been a long ride, but we're still able to get out there and do it. We go out in the middle of the night, and we help out when we can in our little area. But thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sometimes change and growth, as necessary as it is, it feels awkward as you're going through it, but I think being able to continue to work closely together is going to be an incredible thing. And not only do I want you to be able to read out, I'd like to find a way that we recognize those individuals with something that's memorialized in the facility as well. So we'll move on through our agenda. We do have under action items 2 sets of minutes to approve. I know these were provided to each of the commissioners prior to the meeting. Both are from our October 5th work session and regular meeting. If you've had an opportunity, hopefully, to review those, do I have a motion to accept?
So moved. Second.
A move and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor? We'll move on beyond those. Open up the floor to guest comments. Any guest comments that we have?
Chief Craig throw here.
Our guest over here.
I would also like to comment that of all the hard work that Larry Keener and Glenn have done in the Talking Rock area, I know back in the day when I first started out in the volunteers with the city of Jasper, by the way, it was just a few of us. And again, like Chief Praker said, we drove junk. I mean, and it wasn't one time that I went with somebody as time went along to the old rescue barn over at Philadelphia Road and took a 1,000-gallon tanker to the top of the mountain. We could get there in about an hour. So times have changed, but with the economy and the workload and the requirements by state standards and training, getting volunteers is getting harder and harder and harder. And with all the work that Chief Prather's done and the chiefs before him to bring this department up, to a good stage level, we've been very fortunate to have.
We're very blessed. For sure. Any other comments? Any closing remarks from commissioners? Simone? It's been a fire meeting. I figured this would be your...
They already know I like them. I appreciate it.
All right, well, with no closing commissioners' remarks, I would like to entertain a motion that we go into executive session for the purpose to discuss personnel and appointed and hired personnel.
So moved. Second.
In a second, any discussion? All in favor? At this time, we will be going into executive. You're welcome to stick around and wait us out.